Hello and welcome to Healing Womanhood. I'm Saffron and our theme for this series is radical self-love. So I'm really excited about this one. A lot of us are really familiar with the concept of self-love, about being kind to ourselves, having a rest when we're tired and all of those kinds of things. So in this series, we're going to take it even deeper and we are going to connect with the parts of us that we find really difficult. So we're going to begin this week with the inner critic, so loving the inner critic. And then as the weeks go on, we'll move on to loving the inner protector, which is quite closely related to the inner critic, the inner misfit, as we come up towards midwinter and all of the gatherings and celebrations that go with that. And then we'll finish with the inner victim, the part of you that feels like a victim, and how we can love that. So we are diving right in. We're going right for those really difficult bits that we find it really hard to love. And the key to this radical self-love is that we are loving those parts. We're loving the inner critic, and we're also loving the part that hates the inner critic. So I think that's where we can get stuck, or we can come unstuck when we come to self-love, is that we're loving one part, and then the part that contradicts that part, or the part that doesn't like that part, we don't manage to love that at the same time. So that's what we're going to work on here. So in this first part of week 1, we're going to do some tapping for the inner critic, and all you'll need to do is tap where I'm tapping and repeat what I'm saying. And then over on the Patreon membership, we're going to go much deeper. We're going to do a guided visualization and connect directly with that inner critic, and hear what they have to say, and let them know what we have to say, and see if we can make friends with them, see if we can end up on the same side. And this might be a process that we need to repeat, because it can be quite tricky, and we've probably spent a lot of time not being best friends with our inner critic. So whenever you're ready, just reflect on that critical voice in your life. So this is any time that you tell yourself something that you wouldn't say to somebody else, really. So that you're doing it wrong, that you're bad or stupid, that you've messed it up. Whatever your inner critic says to you, that harsh critical voice that doesn't leave a lot of room for error. Tune into how that feels for you, and we'll start tapping. So beginning on the side of the hand, as I say, just tap where I'm tapping and repeat what I'm saying. Even though I have this harsh critical voice, and it really makes life hard sometimes, I choose to love and accept all of myself exactly as I am. Even though I sometimes criticize myself in a really horrible way, in a way that I would never do to somebody else, I choose to love and accept all of myself exactly as I am. Even though I can be really critical with myself sometimes. And that's quite hard to take. And I wish I didn't have this part. That's okay. And I'm okay. And I choose to love and accept myself exactly as I am. So onto the eyebrow. I have this inner critic. It's really unkind to me. And now I'm expected to love it. I don't want it. I don't want to hear this critical voice. And it's okay that I feel that way. Choosing to love and accept the part of me that doesn't want this critical voice. It makes total sense to feel that way. It makes total sense not to want to love the critical voice. Because the critical voice has been so unkind for so many years. And part of me wonders how different my life could be without this critical voice. This critical voice seems to hate me. Part of me really believes that that's the case. But what if there were another possibility? What if this critical voice actually loves me? It's got a really funny way of showing it. It's not really how you talk to someone you love. You don't criticize them endlessly. But what if this critical voice doesn't know that? What if this critical voice has its own way of showing love? That's just not the way I want it to. What if it doesn't realise it's being unhelpful? And it really is being unhelpful. But I'm ready to consider the possibility that maybe it's doing its best to help. Just not in a very helpful way. I'm ready to consider the possibility that this critical voice was on my side all along. This critical voice lives inside me. But I wonder if it's come from anywhere else. I wonder if this voice is the voice of someone from my childhood. Could this be the voice of a parent? Or another close adult? Could this be the voice of someone I depended on when I was only very little? Opening up to the possibility that this voice isn't even mine. I wonder why it's become lodged in me. I wonder if there's a part of me that's trying to keep me safe by taking on the critical voice of a person I depended on. If I depend on them for safety, or even if I did a very long time ago, maybe this voice is trying to keep me safe by keeping me in their good books. I wonder if that could be why I have this critical voice. If it's actually all about my safety. And maybe it just doesn't know that my safety doesn't depend on that approval anymore. This misguided critical voice that's been trying to keep me safe for so many years. I'm ready to let it know that life is different now. That I'm in charge of my own safety now. That it no longer depends on that approval. That I no longer need to be unkind to myself. I don't need this criticism in order to be loved. I am lovable just as I am, being entirely and fully myself. No criticism needed. I wonder if my critical voice could take on a different role now and become my inner cheerleader. I wonder if my critical voice could keep me safe by giving really positive feedback. By telling me what I'm doing really well. Congratulating my successes. And reassuring me in the difficult times. I'm inviting this voice to change its role now. And it may not happen overnight. And that's okay too. Because I'm choosing to be understanding of my critical voice. Just as I'm asking it to be understanding of me. Being so gentle and kind with every part of myself. With radical self-love. And take a deep breath. I wonder if that shifted anything for you, or if you had any realizations there. I'd love to know, so do mention it in the comments if you would like to. And I will see you very soon in part 2. If you are not already over on the Patreon membership, that is where you can find part 2, when we are going to go inwards, do a beautiful guided visualization and meet our inner critical voice and have a conversation with that voice. So I'll see you there very soon. Bye bye.